Depends on you. Let's work together and make it through. We can save the earth. Mother Earth is crying. She has been so hurt. Just take a look at the climate. The heat is rising, affecting the sea. The temperature's climbing to the hottest degree. We see a rising activities, the droughts, the rain, and poverty. Land and ocean species, they are decreasing. Some are migrating from better living. It should be disturbing for all to see how this global warming affects you and me. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save this world. We can save this world. Don't let it fall. We're from the same world.
Green energy reduce carbon emissions, solar, wind, bio, hydro, geothermal. Cut down the use of single-use plastic, reducing reuse should be our main practice. Don't kill the trees, we need the oxygen. Stop dumping waste into our oceans. That pollution needs a solution. Let's save the earth for future generations.
We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better.
Let's bathe in the rivers and dance in the sun. Enjoy our blessings from the one up above. From the top of the mountains to the depths of our seas. Let's protect the swamp for you and me.
We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth if we just come together and make it better. We can save the earth. We can save the earth. We can save the world.
Yes, we can. Welcome to the 8th online regional event of the Caribbean Tree Planting Week. We've had 4 exciting days of activities and 3 more to come. I'm Rosalie Hamilton. I am chair of the Caribbean Philanthropic Alliance, CariPhilAlliance. We are the organization driving this Caribbean Tree Planting Week, and with our many partners, we're seeking to build awareness about the importance of trees for our environment and culture. Given our mission to accelerate the achievements of SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, we also want to highlight how tree planting can contribute to achieving the SDGs in the region. I am so very excited to welcome you to this event organized by our main partner, the Trees That Feed Foundation. You will meet the Queen and King of Breadfruit, not only in the Caribbean, but in the world. Breadfruit is indeed a miracle fruit, and you'll hear all about it from Breadfruit royalty. You're in for a treat. So it's my pleasure to introduce this dynamic duo, Mary and Mike McLaughlin, co-founders of Trees That Feed Foundation. Their mission is to plant fruit-bearing trees to feed people, create jobs, and benefit the environment. Like us in the Caribbean Tree Planting Project, this is not just supporting tree planting. We're addressing hunger, food sufficiency, job creation, community empowerment, and much more. Both Mike and Mary are born in Jamaica and they live in the US. Mary is a geologist and Mike is an actuary. Together, they have provided tremendous support for the Caribbean Tree Planting Project. You know, initially they committed to assisting us with 20,000 trees, but they've more than tripled that number, contributing 60,490 trees from February 2020 to June 2021. Importantly, they provide more than trees. They provide technical guidance to us. They've joined us in several initiatives. In fact, during the COVID pandemic, they were partners with us in this It Starts at Seed competition. They fostered collaboration with individuals and organizations and mentored youths, including me, although I'm not a youth, but they've done a lot. For me, Mary provides me personal inspiration. She's a dynamic, empowered woman who, by the way, should have been part of our previous forum, Empowered Women for Trees, but she preferred to highlight other women. Her selflessness and willingness to share and help others and make connections continue to warm my heart every time we interact. And by the way, she's about to make a piece of history that she doesn't know yet tomorrow in Jamaica. So a few months ago, she introduced me to Professor John Radford, an international expert on the baobab tree, who informed us that the baobab trees that he documented years ago in Jamaica had all died or been cut down. This led to a presentation of the journey of the baobab tree from Africa to the Caribbean during Tree Planting Week. That was Tuesday. And there was a reconnection with John Radford and the Institute of Jamaica. Mary will be pleased to know that tomorrow at the Institute of Jamaica Natural History Museum, in collaboration with the Nature Preservation Foundation, who manages Hope Botanical Garden, will plant baobab trees and a seedling complements of UWI at Hope Gardens that will take place tomorrow. So we are also excited. Mary, your connections are powerful. You create magic even beyond breadfruit. So now let's get started. Let's talk breadfruit. Over to you, Mike and Mary. Yeah, unmute, Mike.
Everybody does that, I think. I thought we would be better than that. So anyway, thank you, Rosalie. I just want to make one small correction. It's not the king and queen of breadfruit. It's the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. So you know how that works, okay?
I'm corrected.
So, anyway, it's really a pleasure to work with Rosalie and the team and CariPhil. It's like a mutual admiration society. So thank you for including us and remembering us. And I'll just take a couple minutes to talk about Trees That Feed. And Andrea, I think, is going to start sharing our slides. And if that doesn't work, we can back up from this end. But many of you know all about us, and so I can keep this fairly brief. But we were asked just yesterday by a reporter, what are the values of Trees That Feed Foundation? And I think one of the values is the long-term benefits that we try to impart, not just a meal, but how to feed yourself. The efficiency that we operate with, because we use volunteers exclusively to do a lot of our work. And then the integrity that we show because we manifest, because we know we're handling other people's money. So those are the things that we serve as our values. We got started in 2008. Mary gets full credit for the idea. And we've developed the idea over the last 12 years or so. We're in 19 countries now. Our most recent country to assist is the developing country of the United States of America, where we're donating a few trees to the Botanic Gardens in Miami. So let's go to the slides. Let's go to the first slide. And to explain what we do, it's planting trees, but there's a lot of work that goes around that supports the trees, because what we want to do is make sure that this benefit is permanent. So the top row is kind of the problems that we see, global problems. It's the environment, it's hunger and malnutrition, it's poverty and poor economic development in many of our countries. And then it's lack of education and illiteracy and unawareness of the problems themselves that becomes a problem. So we sit in the middle there doing the best that we can, planting fruit trees. So planting trees addresses the environment problem. We have a school feeding program where we buy back products from entrepreneurs, bakers, and so on, give that to schools so the children learn a little better on a full tummy. We see businesses starting as the key to all of this so that the benefits that we give from trees are permanent. So instead of, emergency help in a disaster, that's terribly important. What we do is we try to provide benefits that are going to last for lifetimes. And then to get all of that to work together, we do education, the school children, seminars for farmers, field research, with the help of our friends such as Dr. Webster, who you will hear from shortly. So going on to the next slide, we just have a few pictures to kind of show you our work in action. So you see a quick picture of breadfruit trees being delivered. So we buy them from the nursery and then give them to farmers or individuals or farming groups. Okay, so that's happened just hundreds, if not thousands of times already since we got going. You see breadfruit being reaped and harvested and taken to a processing factory in the DR in that truck. And so we have a group, and you'll hear from Marisol and heard from Marisol and Amasar this morning about all the work that they are doing. There are massive amounts of products being produced. Next picture will show what's going on there. And that's a breadfruit mix. It's a gluten-free flour mix. Okay, and you see the breadfruit shreds there being dried. I mean, this is a high quality, meeting all kinds of food and product standards being exported to the United States, which is where this is going to go. It's going to be an export market that I think will not conflict with the local market. Everybody will still have a backyard tree. Meantime, products are being produced, taken to market. Next slide shows you some more products. Okay, so Peaches Henry is making some delicious chips. Carlene Johnson, who you heard from this morning, is making these delicious cookies. You see boxes of these cookies. And last but not least, one of our favorite drinks, Mutiny Island vodka, being produced from breadfruit flour in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. And what's happening there is that they were buying breadfruit flour literally from Samoa, halfway around the world, instead of locally in the Caribbean. So Mary put a change to that, put a stop to that. Next slide, just to reinforce that these are long-term benefits, we want to explain to young people why this is important. You see a young lady there planting a tree, and these young ladies showing off their coloring books, their activity books, that it's in multiple languages in Haiti. We're in 9 languages overall, right? And so they will grow up understanding the importance of agroforestry and the importance of planting trees. This is and Mary, you can add, of course, but one of the things that we know that we have to do is to tell our story. So you see a picture there, again, Dr. Webster on the left, Dr. Zeriga on the extreme right. She's on our board. She's one of the world's leading experts in breadfruit, the DNA, and underutilized foods. I'm in the picture beside me is Mr. Joseph Johnson, runs a big nursery in Denby called Eltham Gardens, and he distributes thousands and thousands of trees from us. And the lady beside Dr. Webster is Miss Singh, and she was very instrumental in helping us to carry out a big research project on the yield of breadfruit. So those were just some very, very quick things, we want to say. The reason we tell the story is so that other charitable organizations can build on our model, copy our model. Maybe they'll do it better than us one day, but helping people in a permanent way. All right.
So we'll hand it over to our first speaker.
Sure, we go over to the experts, and we'll turn it over first to Javion Blake. And this is a kind of entrepreneur that we predict high success for, CEO of Just Chill International.
And the reason we're here today with these producers is that if they succeed, we succeed, because then the trees then have value and there's an economic benefit. So Javian, you go, please.
Hi, hello, everyone. Am I coming through?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure being here and being able to present on this. I will try to be pretty brief. Pretty much what we make, our original product is breadfruit chips. And a lot of that work comes from being able to get the products from the work that Mary and Mike both get to do. So thank you very much for all the effort you've put in over the years. We are trying to bring the mainstream US market. We're trying to bring the mainstream US market grocery store a taste of natural tropical goodness. And breadfruit does a good work at that. The problem we see in a lot of the market, what got us there started is, valuable superfood going to waste. We see underdevelopment in agriculture, and the devastation of climate change that's going to be impacting our small farmers and the lack of sustainable business solution to create a prosperous future. And so our solution we're proposing is to take some of these fruits that's going to waste and produce and market innovative CTG products out of those, and then expand the healthy food mainstream options, and also give the small farmers market access. Second to that is, or additional to that, is reducing the carbon emission, because breadfruit is such a great for regenerative agriculture, and it grows abundantly, and it's a natural and simple, tasty product, which goes very well with alternative for traditional products on the market. And also, we're just really reducing food waste. That's one of our big drivers. What we see in the breadfruit market in the future is a very lucrative looking market product. If you consider something like a jackfruit that has been gaining presence in the mainstream US market, and you look at innovative products that are coming out of jackfruit, such as the chips or even the flour based product, you're seeing something that represents about 300 million. And you see durian, which is more prevalent in the Asian market, that represents over 10 billion in market value. But that is not something that really goes very well with the American taste. And so we see breadfruit as being even, potentially a greater probability of success in the US market. Additionally, what are we seeing in terms of healthy snack trends? We're seeing people are talking about wanting their food to become their medicines, in a sense, especially what we have experienced over the last year with the pandemic. Healthy food snacks, we're looking at, we're seeing significant growth with all these numbers. Healthy snacks, gluten-free products, superfood products, we're all expecting to see significant growth between now and 2026, 2027. And we believe that breadfruit can become one of those significant contributing alternatives that goes with this market and take on some of this market valuation, the market cap. And then our product that we make is breadfruit chips. We're pretty new. We're the first actual breadfruit manufacturers based in the mainland US that I am aware of. And so we're really bringing something new and unique to the taste buds of the American mainstream market. And so far, we've really been capturing a good amount of attention and market awareness. Actually, recently, as early as today, we just got good news back from our major grocery chain who seems to be interested, at least taking it to their decision-making team. So we're definitely penetrating that market, and that's the market we focus on. We focus on at a very the healthy niche market, the niche market that focuses on health, focus on taste, and focus on sustainability, and also trying to do some social good in the world. And that's probably one of our defining factors. Also, a little bit of background on myself. I'll make it very brief here. My background is in product design engineering. I'm Jamaican myself, originally from Jamaica. I moved to the States to go to school. I completed a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a master's in industrial management engineering. I have some experience in strategic partnerships and material resource planning, which comes in very handy when you're trying to develop the first supply chain based here, especially in the Rocky Mountains for Breadfruit, which is just never been familiar with the product. More recently, I started a program with the Denver University to learn more about business development. I also sit on the board at the World Trade Center here in Denver. I'm a advisory board member there, and I also I'm the president of the Young Professional Board of the World Denver Organization. So far, some of the cool things that we've been able to do with this project so far to gain awareness in that side of the market space that is not very familiar with the product is, we've gotten some international coverage in the traditional media, and the article seems to have done very well, really just galvanizing just people from all walks of life calling to figure out like, oh, now we care about this product, like we have Breadfruit too, what do you have any ideas what we can do with it? So it's really driving a very global interest in the product, and we expect to capitalize on that and really not miss the train, but to lead the way in moving forward. We've done some pretty cool partnership with social media influencers. Our product with the influencers we've done partnerships with, we have been exposed to over 1 million followers on the social media platform, and we are pretty cool to be featured in the Jamaican food magazine, Jamaica Eats, which is pretty cool. And so those are some of the things that we've been able to see, and we definitely see a very bright future for Jamaica. And we believe as soon as we can get as many people to join the train and really just become that driving force behind it and supply the market's gonna love this product. We're also working on some additional new products that are gonna be coming out, what we see either Q3 or Q4 of this year. Actually going to Jamaica here in the next coming days to really start working on setting up or dealing with our production capacity issues that we're going to be trying to overcome. And so we're going to be checking out some facilities and working with strategic partners to figuring out how to do that. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share here. I'm very happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. I know I kind of breezed through, so feel free to reach out if anyone has questions. Thank you.
That's great. That's great, Javian. Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. You've done a lot, and I see great potential. We're going to save the questions for the end, just to manage our time a little bit better, if that's okay. And I thought of a couple of questions for you as well, but anyone that wants to put questions into the chat room, we'd be happy to try to answer them. Okay. Our next speaker is going to be Courtney Roundtree Mills, CEO of Ulu Foods in Barbados, and we're very excited to hear about the developments there. So we'll turn it over to Courtney, and we'll get her slides up. Courtney, you unmute, and then we're ready to listen. All right. We can see your screen. All right, now you got to unmute.
Cool. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Courtney. I am originally from Texas, from Austin, Texas. But I've had an adventurous last 12 years or so, where basically after school I went and did a lot of business. I did a business degree, and then I went and worked for some big consulting companies, and then stopped doing that for a little bit to go back and get my degree in international development from Harvard, and then went on from there to actually go to Kenya, where I founded a nonprofit that helps entrepreneurs around the world, now in 10 countries and 14 cities, learn all of the ins and outs of how to run a business. And so after that, I spent about a decade in Kenya doing that. And then my husband got a job in Barbados, working for the British High Commission. And so we moved here. And it was sort of a very interesting timing, because we moved here, I would say, like about 6 to 8 months before the pandemic hit. And so we thought we were going to have a really chill time in Barbados. And then suddenly we were marooned on this island for a good like 5 months before the planes started coming and going again. And when it happened, when the pandemic hit last year, it was pretty rough for us as a family because my kids are basically allergic to everything. I have 2 children. They are 6 and 4 now. And my daughter has sensory processing disorder, which she was diagnosed with when she was 2. But when she eats grain-free, dairy-free, basically follows a very paleo anti-inflammatory diet, her sensory processing goes away. But when she starts eating gluten and grains and dairy and inflammatory foods, her sensory processing comes back. And at the same time, my son has very bad asthma, and his asthma gets worse when he eats grains and dairy, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a really critical need to eat clean and to avoid gluten and grains. And so I had been basically solving for that through 2 different mechanisms living in Barbados and in Kenya. Number one was I was bringing in huge suitcases of food from Whole Foods every time I got the opportunity. And then the second is I was relying on like the very high-end grocery stores here in Barbados, it's called Massey's, to give me those few foods that they had that they were bringing in from the States. And then when the pandemic hit, both of those situations went away. So I wasn't able to travel. There was no planes coming in. I couldn't bring anything in. And then the second is that all the grocery stores closed in Barbados for almost a month, really. And so we were in a situation where I just didn't have the food that I needed for my children. And that's kind of when you go into a bit of exploratory mode. And for me, it was, well, what's growing in my backyard? And what happened to be growing in my backyard was breadfruit. And so I started exploring with breadfruit. What can you do with it? What can you make of it? And I just literally was stuck in my house because we had stay-at-home orders. And I started making stuff. And the kinds of things I started making sort of blew my mind. I just couldn't believe that Americans didn't know what breadfruit could do. And I don't even know if Bayesians know entirely what breadfruit can do sometimes. And so you can see some of the things that we make here. We're called Ulu foods because Ulu is what Hawaiians call breadfruit, Ulu. And so we're called Ulu foods, and we make crackers, taco shells, pizza bases, tortilla chips, soft tortillas. We make the breadfruit fries. That's another hard taco and another pizza base. We also make slices. Sorry, guys, I'm in the factory right now. We also make breadfruit slices as well, just steamed chunks of breadfruit. So basically, we get. Okay, sorry, guys. That's in the factory right now. People are trying to wave me down. So basically, we get all of these things as breadfruit, and we actually partnered with a local farm in Barbados called Sunbury Plantation, and they had a sweet potato factory, which I'm currently sitting in right now, which they were doing sweet potato fries. And I obviously partnered with them because their factory was underutilized, and we really improved it, made it HACCP compliant, and now we're processing breadfruit as well as the sweet potato and the cassava in this factory. And then I built sort of like a commercial kitchen on the side of it in order to continue processing the breadfruit into these final products. We launched only at the beginning of May, so it's not been very long, but we're already in the 6 major supermarkets and Massey stores with our entire product line. And it's going well so far. At least our stuff is selling out, so that's good. But we have a long way to go to get to where we want to be. And I think the ultimate goal, of course, is exporting to the United States, and especially my hometown, Austin. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm very new on this journey, though, so I'm nowhere near where Mike and Mary are. So thanks for allowing me to share.
You are doing great. You're doing terrific. I think your name is clever. You know, Ulu is the word for breadfruit, not only in Hawaii, but in many of the Pacific countries. So it's very clever to pick pick that name up. So we're probably going to have a few questions for you at the end. And I know that you're doing some online sales, for example, so we'll probably ask you about that if we have time. So, but we're going to move right on ahead with our next speaker, Andre Gordon, who is CEO of Isabella Farms. And this has to be one of the fastest starting businesses that I've ever heard of, because the first picture we saw from him was a pallet full of breadfruit products. So let's put Andre's slides up, and Andre will turn it over to you.
And unmute.
And if you're muted, unmute. I would never make that mistake.
I'm trying to.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, we can see you. And we just need, if you have slides.
And if you don't have your slides, you just tell your story.
I do have my slides. Oh. Okay. You see it now?
Yes.
Good.
Excellent. So good evening, everybody. So basically, I am a maverick, and in the marketing world in Jamaica, I basically grew up in hardcore marketing of hardcore alcohol, and I was thrown in feet deep. I don't have a background in marketing, manufacturing, or agriculture, even though I grew up in a largely agricultural community in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica. I never had a feel for it. But somehow, when my daughter was born, you know, I told my wife that I wanted to do something that would leave a legacy for her. And so we started Isabella Family Farms for two reasons. One, it was to retire the old generation, which is my parents. They had worked very hard, educated me, and I thought that it was time for them to stop working, and they loved farming. So I thought, you know, why not build a farm for them? And two, I wanted to start to build a legacy for my daughter, Isabella. And so both things became one. One thing led to another. And for 4 years, it was really about, it was a romantic story, small family farm in Lacovia. And we had goats, we had over 100 goats and sheep, as well as some crops. We leased all the lands around us, and we put it to work. But something happened last year when we started looking at how we wanted to expand the farm, and we had various proposals about what we should do and how we should do it. We came to the States in January. Incidentally, my entire household is born within a week of each other in January. Me, January 22nd, my wife the 15th, and my daughter the 19th. And so we take a family trip every year for the last 5 years, because even when she was pregnant, we did that trip. All right, and this year we went with a mission. We wanted to start a restaurant in South Florida and everything like that. And we had the agreements for a franchise. We had the money to do it. And COVID hit. Luckily, we came home just in time. And one of the things that I want to show you, I'm sorry, it's way down in the slide, but I want to show you nonetheless. I was scrolling through my phone when this picture hit me. And that is where I decided I wanted to be in export. When this picture hit me in my phone, this was my daughter at 1 year old, and I brought home some breadfruit from Portland because in my role in the alcohol company that I worked, I'm in charge of community bars and community outreach overall. So I had gone to Portland and gotten some breadfruit, and I took it home and I could not get that breadfruit from her for 2 days. That one picture told me that we needed to be in export. I did not know how, but I called Jampro and we got the ball rolling. We started exporting fresh breadfruit last summer, and the University of Life taught us that we needed to go value added. And so we ended up deciding that we wanted to process breadfruit. We made a necessary investment and we've been working hard at it ever since. So last November, we made that hard decision. We wanted to do this. And so basically, this is what we've done since last year. We registered with the JAMPRO, Bureau of Standards, the National Compliance Regulatory Authority, Agri-Commodities, as well as the FDA. We did a whole lot of work, and this is me, my wife, my brother, and of course, Isabella. We came up with this product, and we realized there were so many moving parts in getting this thing done. But the most important thing for us was that we wanted to have a value-added product. The first thing that jumped out at us with breadfruit was that 60% of the breadfruit currently goes to waste in Jamaica. It goes to waste for many reasons. Some are unintentional reasons, such as the fact that some of the trees are unpruned, they're very tall, they're in very deep ravines or mountain sides, and as a result, people just can't get to them. The next reason is that people just don't know what to do with it because there's no industry driving it forward. And so we decided that we wanted to bridge that gap. We wanted to do two things. We wanted to create employment in these communities because there's nothing sweeter for the community than when we come in there with cash to buy breadfruit, and we do it every week. So we've built very strong relationships. The next part about it is that we also recognize that because the breadfruit stock was so old that we wanted to plant breadfruit. My friend at Nature Touch Farms sent me the link for Trees That Feed Foundation. I sent the link the same Saturday morning. I got her, and I sent the link to my friend too. My friend Cyril Martin, he told me a couple of days later that he got a response. Checked my spam and realized I got some trees too. So we got 50 plants. We bought another 200, and we decided to start the planting. And that is the amazing journey. So this is the first tree that we planted. This is what it will be in 5 years. And these are some fruits that we buy weekly. We send our truck every week to buy breadfruit. This is what we're doing in our factory. We're in Kingston. Most of our employees are women. 90% of our employees are mature women with families. And we believe that that is very important because that independence and that resource, there's nobody who knows how to spend money more than a mother with children. And so that is it. So far, we're doing the sliced roasted breadfruit. We're shipping to the US and we're shipping to Canada. And we are very much invested in the tostones. Currently, we've gotten back our label panel from our Bureau of Standards, but we expect to get that in a few days. These are some of our products. Sweet, very sweet yellow heart breadfruit. We get a lot of compliments for it. And you see, Jamaican influencers are all the rage about breadfruit. Shelley and Fraser Price just posted this a few days ago. You know, she's the fastest woman alive. Ching Ching have a song about breadfruit. So breadfruit is taking its pride of place, and we want to continue to play our part in that. And of course, I wanted you guys to meet Isabella. This is her. This is her. She's my heartbeat, and she is the spirit animal of this business.
That is an excellent.
So,
I wondered how you came up with the name Isabella. So now we have the answer to that question. So, you know, we're going to have to send Isabella a coloring book. Okay. So this is good. We're going to save a little time for you for questions and at the end, if we can, if that's okay. And then we want to introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker needs introduction because he's a very known scientist, Dr. Seymour Webster, from the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. And so maybe, I don't know, Seymour, I don't think you had any slides, but we would like to hear from you about your work, you know, over the years with breadfruits. Dr. Webster is one of the world's leading experts on breadfruit.
Okay, good afternoon again, everyone, and thank Mike for that very generous introduction. Very thought-provoking and interesting presentations have gone so far. There's very little that I can add to what has been said already, but what I would like to do is just to give some supporting points to the discussion so far. I will address, or I will give those points in under three headings: the production aspect very quickly, the environmental aspects, as well as the nutrition aspect of the breadfruit. So we could say it's the breadfruit pen. And the production is very, very important, because based on what we have heard from the previous presenters, that in order to produce and to have that value, you need the raw material. And one of the things that Mike and Mary and the Trees That Feed Foundation has done is to build out, or should I say, continue to build out that base, that production base right across the region, so that the persons who are doing the processing, they know where they can get raw material. So that's a very, very important aspect of the value chain. And congratulations every time to Mike and Miriam and Trees That Feed. In terms of the environmental aspect, very, very important. It is a very massive tree. It is a very good carbon sink. So it sequesters a lot of the carbon, and it stores it not only in the fruit for us to eat in many different ways, but also in the wood and other vegetative areas of the plant. So it is really a very good climate change candidate. And within the region where we are accustomed to having frequent hurricanes and so on, one of the interesting thing about it in terms of agroforestry, it is self-regenerating. So if it should become toppled over during a storm, unlike many other fruit trees, it will regenerate itself without no one doing any replanting or anything. So it is self-regenerating, and that's an excellent feature of the breadfruit plant. Now, in terms of the varieties, there are many different varieties which influence the taste as well as the keeping quality, what we refer to. So, and especially not only the keeping quality, but the engineering properties are also influenced by the different types available. Maybe there are between 250 to 300 types. In Jamaica, we may have somewhere between 30 and 40, I would say. Mike and Mary is responsible for introducing at least maybe 5 of those varieties that we now have here in Jamaica. So it adds to the diversity, which is very, very important, both in terms of us spicing up the value added aspect of it, and also to extend the reaping seasons, because we know that in the Caribbean it's a kind of seasonal crop. Right? So one of the approaches that we are still looking at is how we can get more varieties into Jamaica and within the region itself that can help us to extend the harvesting period. So again, that would be beneficial both for local consumption and the persons who are adding value and so on for export. In terms of the nutritional aspect of it, Mike started out by saying that they provide flour and so on for school feeding programs. And that's very, very important because it's a very dense, nutrient dense fruit. It provides a range of vitamins and minerals, which many of the starches that are available in the schools lack. And so where it relates to learning, giving the students, especially at the primary early childhood level, is very, very important because it helps those students to get a very good start, especially when it's offered as a breakfast cereal. So very, very important crop, and I really, really feel excited and pleased about the direction in which we have now taken the breadfruit, which hitherto was really seen as an undervalued crop within the region. And I'm very pleased that we are having this kind of mobilization, not just people exporting on their own, but sharing, which is very, very important for building out the breadfruit value chain within the Caribbean region. And that brings me to the end of the contribution because I want to see some more of the exciting presentations. I will very, very brief.
Dr. Webster, thank you, my friend. You know, before we started this session, I thought, okay, what if Dr. Webster reads us his PhD dissertation? So no, I'm just pulling his leg, what Trees That Feed has done has relied on Dr. Webster, Dr. Zeriga, Dr. Ragoni in Hawaii, and others who have done the deep research that we piggybacked on, and they were able to, for example, have tissue culture trees produce not GMO trees, but tissue culture, so that we were able to supply large quantities. And so that helped us to get going. Did you want to start?
Why don't you look at the questions, Mike, and ask them while you get the questions. I'll just say, if you entrepreneurs that spoke today succeed, we succeed. That means that the trees can almost plant themselves. And Andre is an example. We gave him 50 trees, but he bought 200. So we were able to just kind of help to seed him. So we know that as people start to make money from breadfruit, more trees will be planted just organically, and we appreciate that, and we rely on you. You're the ones that are driving this bus, so we appreciate it, and we want you to succeed.
One of the questions that I have, and we're talking to three producers here who are producing value-added products from breadfruit, and I think it was Andre made the point, that's the way to make a profit, to become self-sufficient, economically self-sufficient with food production, is if you can turn this into a business, whether local or export or both. One of the questions that I have, and maybe the processors can answer this, we have to be fairly brief because of time, but are you finding an adequate supply of fruit? Because that's one of the things I worry about. Is there enough supply that you can scale up and produce larger quantities over time?
Let's ask Courtney this question, because I know when Courtney started, she had to get breadfruit from some of the other islands, St. Vincent and St. Lucia. So Courtney, if you can unmute and just explain how you got your fruit.
Yeah, I'm afraid It's not the best story, but so I don't for Barbados, we don't have as much breadfruit as say like Jamaica or Dominican Republic. So for me, it was important to be able to think through how to get it from St. Lucia and St. Vincent so that we could get enough locally. And I tried that process. So I was sort of experimenting with it, but unfortunately it got stopped in the port and then got sent back because they said they need to develop a specific quarantine process here for the breadfruit. So now we not only have COVID quarantine, we have a breadfruit quarantine, which is, a bit annoying. So we haven't succeeded yet in that, but hopefully they will develop a quarantine process and we will be able to get it from there. The only thing I can tell you is that we got a huge boost we got a huge boost and now not so much of a boost from 2 natural disasters that have hit Barbados since I started in the last couple of months. The first was we had a volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, which covered Barbados entirely in volcanic ash and shut us down for a good couple of weeks where we couldn't go outside. But then what happened after that was that the breadfruit exploded in Barbados. So suddenly I got so much supply and I've been capitalizing that on in the past, I'd say 5 weeks. And then last week we had a hurricane that hit us and then it blew all of the breadfruit away. So today I was trying to receive breadfruit and I'm back to being in kind of square one. So I would just say overall, I've been helped and hindered by 2 natural disasters, but I think the main thing I think people need to solve for is we just have to be able to get better shipping lines and better processes between these Caribbean countries to be able to utilize what's out there. It's really sad because there are people in St. Lucia where the breadfruit is just going to waste. And then here I am in Barbados wanting more. And we can't get to each other and we're so close. So anyway, hopefully that will be solved soon, but it's part of the inefficiency of the region right now.
Thank you. Andre, do you have a problem getting your supply of breadfruit?
Well, of course, yes, I do. But the issue is not one of supply as in availability of breadfruit. It is breadfruit knowledge. In the east of the island, we can get breadfruit and we get large quantities. But there's a lot of competition for breadfruit right now in the east. So we've had to send out our truck every day to ensure that we can maintain those relationships and get the quantities that we want. What we've found is that west of, say, Clarendon, the communities have breadfruit, they have it in large quantities, but they have not developed an economic model around it, so they do not know how to safely reap it so that we can get it. Just yesterday, I was told that we could get 2,000 breadfruit from St. Elizabeth. We sent our truck, we only came back with 200. They reaped about 3,000, but they allowed them to fall. A lot of wonderful breadfruit just fell on the ground. And so what we've decided to do is to engage with those communities. We're going to bring in climbers as well as people who use the tall sticks with the bucket at the top and the bags at the top to teach them how to reap the breadfruit for us, because it is horrible to see so much good breadfruit go to waste. And for me, I'm passionate about working with these communities. And I was so sad that we could not get the supply that we wanted when there was an availability. So we have decided to engage with the DAC, the district committees, through the parish development committee. So they have these development area committees. So we're going to engage with them so that we could have them train to train the communities to reap breadfruit. Most of this year's crop is going to waste in the West, and it's very sad.
That's unfortunate. One of the things that we all can do, all in this group, is to help to spread the word of the value of the breadfruit from a nutrition standpoint, from a climate standpoint, and the economic benefit that it brings to a community. Andre said something else that was very important. We had one person tell us, it's amazing what optimism is created in a community with a little economic activity. Excuse me. All right. Just being mindful of time, we're going to kind of wrap up the Q&A session. I have lots more questions, but we're going to move forward, and we're going to turn over now to Suzanne Taylor-Batten, who is director of the CariPhilAlliance, and she's going to have a few closing remarks and interested to hear what she has to say. Suzanne?
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you. And it's so amazing. Your last remarks were literally top of mind for me. I don't think I will ever look at a breadfruit the same. I just learned so much. And the power of education and information around breadfruit, I think, is so important. Understanding why the title of this session was called The Miracle Fruit. As you say, the nutritional, impacts of the fruit, the environmental. I'm really excited what came out in the panel today. I'm really excited about the entrepreneurial sort of impacts of the fruit. I'm Susan Taylor-Batten. I'm president of the Association of Black Foundation Executives. We're based in the US. I'm calling in from Maryland, right outside of Washington, DC. Do a lot of work with foundations around supporting Black businesses in particular. And the reason is because, the research suggests, economists also say that the fastest way and the most strategic way to grow wealth is to support small businesses. And so just the focus on the entrepreneurship and the innovation of all of you on the panel is just amazing. So let's just give all of our panelists folks a round of applause. I get to say thank yous on behalf of CariPhilAlliance. I am on the board, as Mike said. Mary and Mike, I am a new fan. I have learned more about your work over these past few days and your influence around the Caribbean region, and I can tell also in the US is amazing. So thank you for all that you do. To the panelists, Javion, Courtney, Andre, and Dr. Seymour Webster, thank you for taking the time and sharing with us today, and for, again, your innovation and your ingenuity around this amazing miracle fruit. Also just want to give thanks to organizers of the event, Shernette Bailey. I just want to give a kudos to, thank you all on Zoom and Facebook that are listening in today. And I'm going to hand it over for some closing remarks to Anna K. McIntosh, who is a tree planting ambassador from Jamaica. Anna K.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. And thank you to, as well, the panelists who have shared so much today. My duty really right now is to just charge everyone within the reach of my voice about how passionate we are about what we're doing and the importance, just to remind us that, life really focuses on goals. Everything is about a goal. So much so that one of the only things that countries could actually agree on are goals, right? We have the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's one thing where the countries, the world comes together to say, hey, these are important, not just based on diversity, but they are important. And so even as we focus on our goal here at the Caribbean Philanthropic Alliance, really with the Caribbean Tree Planting Project, it's a selfless cry for us to understand the importance of what a seed can do, right? We're talking about the breadfruit tree here today and looking at how the expansion of agriculture can evolve in entrepreneurship. But I really want to charge those who haven't as yet really to take the consideration and the impact that we can make together when we amplify our voices. And that's the message we're trying to bring across the world right now, with even the signing of the letter that we have, which is very detailed on our website. I implore everybody to visit the page and to just read about the works. We're doing the works in the field. And we've seen the challenges that we're having. And so we are taking it to a next level to get the help, to get the support that we need to advance what we're doing here, right? I encourage those who haven't signed up as yet, sign up to be a volunteer and ambassador. There's so much wealth of knowledge that is accessible for you guys to learn about how to do it yourself, how to help, train a whole generation of how to do greatness within this area of focus called agriculture, called development, because sustainability, your one move help developing humanity as we try to focus on this area, and also to support the tree shirt, very creative, very sustainable effort there in Denmark, where shirts that are being sold are towards the movement as well. And this is also on the website, right? Information about the shirts are also there, very colorful, beautiful design shirts, 100% cotton that made these shirts. Look at them, so beautiful, right? In each design, and they are destined to help us as well achieve our goals. Each purchase helps to facilitate us and accelerate the mission that we're working on one step forward. So my charge really is to let's do what we can do, which is to make a move, to make an impact. And we can by signing up, by clicking a button, by purchasing a shirt, and by also reading all the information that we've shared here and advanced information to share it outside of our small circles so that we can get more person to hear us, more voices to be extended to those who we really want to reach out to, because the work has really just started on the goals we are working on accomplishing.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that brings us just about to a close. I think the previous sessions ended with a little musical interlude, so maybe we'll hear some music. Thanks to everybody for participating, and go plant some trees.
On the horizon, plant some seeds, plant it in and out of season, plant some trees, it's time to start the mission, plant some seeds, oh, yo. Politicians don't have the answer, we change them every time, even though we make the change. We did to lost the truth. IMF is not the solution. We did to lost the truth. We need this revolution. We did to lost the truth. We control our destiny. The only solution is production and the science of self-harm. Crisis on the horizon, some seeds, come to plant them out of season, some trees. It's time to start the mission, plant some seeds, out of season. Global financial meltdown put the whole world in a spin. These great financial results couldn't see this coming. Now we this wealth won't get us by as the rain fall from the sky. Without the food, you die. Plant some trees, plant some trees. Food crisis on the horizon. Plant some seeds, plant them in and out of season. Plant some trees, plant some trees. Food crisis on the horizon. Plant some seeds, plant them in and out of season. Plant some trees, food crisis on the horizon. Plant some seeds, plant it in and out of season. Plant some trees, got to plant some trees. Plant some seeds.
Thank you all, everyone.
Joy.